Welcome back, folks. Tonight on the Movie MP, we're going to take a look at Netflix's latest hit, The People That We Meet on Vacation, and the 7 personal development tips that we learned through the film through the lens of Brené Brown's classic New York Times bestseller, The Gift of Imperfection. So we're going to start with the basics of the film, and then we're going to move on to the 7 personal development tips. The People That We Meet on Vacation was released in 2026. It carries a rating of PG-13. It is 1 hour and 57 minutes long and carries an IMDb rating of 6.7% out of 10. It also carries a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 74%. And it, of course, is based on Emily Henry's best-selling novel of the same name, The People We Meet on Vacation. The movie is currently only available on Netflix. However, Emily Henry's novel and Brené Brown's The Gift of Imperfection is available. I will post the links below. They've also both have new editions. Emily Henry has a tie-in to the movie edition, and Brené Brown came out a few years ago with a 10-year anniversary edition of The Gift of Imperfection. So getting back to the film, the screenplay for the film was written by Yulin Kwong, Amos Vernon, and Nunzio Randazzo. It's directed by Brett Haley and stars Emily Bader and Tom Blythe. So the film falls into the category of romantic comedy, and the basic plot is that the two main characters, named Poppy and Alex, are complete polar opposites, but somehow become best friends and vow to spend every summer together for the rest of their lives, going on vacation in the summer. And of course, it's all fun and games until one of them begins to have romantic relationships for the other. So here's my thoughts on the film. I think it's totally predictable, but I liked it. I would lean towards Rotten Tomatoes, 74%, rather than the IMDb rating of 6.7. Like I said, I did like it. It's predictable. It's kind of the modern version of Bridget Jones' Diary, where you have the straight lace stick up his ass and the fun-loving, free-spirited girl that everyone loves. And yeah, the film brought up some good memories for me when I was young and dumb and just started dating, and how life seemed to progress through a series of awkward moments and never-ending mistakes. And it's very easy to fall in love with Poppy. She's your typical free spirit, fun-loving weirdo that I tend to find more attractive than your typical bombshell like Marilyn Monroe or Ginger from Gilligan's Island. In short, I like the movie. Again, it's typical, it's corny, there's times that it's kind of mushy, but at the end of the day, I think the runtime was perfect. 1 hour and 57 minutes was not too short, not too long. Really, this for me falls into the Goldilocks region of movie runtimes, where it's not too long, it's not too short, it's just right. So for anyone looking for a fun rom-com, I would definitely check this film out. So now on to our 7 personal development tips / life hacks that we can learn from The People We Meet on Vacation through the lens of Brené Brown's New York Times bestseller, The Gift of Imperfection. Number 7 is to choose courage over chemistry. The life hack here is that love is built on courage and not just the spark of chemistry. Chemistry might start relationships, however, chemistry alone does not sustain it. True connections require courage, emotional presence, and boundaries, and not just the intensity that comes with great chemistry. You'll see in the film that the relationship does not deepen due to the trips, but when the characters become emotionally honest with each other, only then do we see the relationship deepen and progress. And sometimes the most romantic acts are not these grandiose, over-the-top gestures, but it's just simple emotional presence. This aligns perfectly with Brené Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection, specifically with Chapter 1, titled Cultivating Authenticity. And here's a quote from Brené Brown herself, and I like to read these things so I get them verbatim. Connection is why we are here. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. Personal development number 6 is to speak before the timing passes you by. Silence might feel safe, but ultimately it costs you connection. And I think anybody who's been through this will tell you that the pain of the regret that is caused by the silence stings far greater than any rejection that you might receive. And if you're not careful, this will ultimately snowball into shame that further fuels the secrecy and the silence. This is illustrated nicely in the movie. Towards the end of the film, you see how the years of silence and not expressing each other's feelings for each other risks derailing the relationship entirely. And although it might be true that the silence has protected them from rejection and kept the fun time on the rails, the fact is that the silence has risked the deep, meaningful relationship that ultimately they will develop. And this perfectly aligns with Brené Brown's groundbreaking book, The Gift of Imperfection, because cultivating meaningful work requires letting go of self-doubt in favor of emotional truth. And here's a wonderful quote from Brené Brown that illustrates all this. Shame thrives in silence. Life hack number 5 is to release the image of your ideal self. Letting go of who you think you should be will ultimately lead to you becoming who you actually are. Chasing this ideal identity of yourself just slows your progress. We see this in the film with Poppy, where she seems to refuse to settle down because she has this ideal image of what her future is supposed to look like, what her image is supposed to look like, and ultimately that leads her down the wrong road. It's only after the two characters release their realized identity of themselves in the future that leads them to love by the end of the film. This perfectly aligns with Brené Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection, because she suggests that true fulfillment only comes after one learns to give up the need for certainty and accept one's true self. In Brené Brown's own words, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Life hack number 4 is learning to become vulnerable is the key to a deeper relationship. The lesson here is that every meaningful relationship requires emotional risk. Vulnerability is not a weakness, but is the birthplace of love and connection. We see this in the film where the relationship does not grow because the circumstances have changed or the situation has changed. For example, it doesn't grow because Poppy breaks up with her boyfriend of the moment. It doesn't change because Alex breaks up with his girlfriend, but it only changes once both characters learn to become vulnerable and be truthful with each other. And in Brené Brown's own words, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. Life hack number 3 is to drop the armor. Don't fool yourself into thinking that perfectionism is self-improvement. It's only self-protection. And although that armor might protect you from shame, it blocks you from love and intimacy. We see this in the film where both characters look like the definition of perfection. They both have great jobs. Poppy has this phenomenal job as a travel journalist, getting to take all these fun vacations and write about them. Alex has followed his dreams and has become a college professor or teacher. And on the outside, it looks great. However, on the inside, they are searching for connection and the meaning of life. We also see this play out in the film, particularly in a scene during the New Orleans vacation, where Alex is about to open up and let Poppy know his true feelings. However, unexpectedly, one of Poppy's boyfriends of the moment show up and derail everything. And rather than Alex going with his gut instinct and confessing his love for Poppy, he chooses to remain silent so as not to risk this facade of the perfectionism that he and Poppy have together. However, ultimately what this does is leads to only regret and shame. And here, of course, is a quote from Brené Brown that states, "When perfectionism is driving us, shame is riding shotgun." Life hack number 2 is to stop performing and start belonging. Fitting in takes a lot of work and having to edit yourself. However, belonging only requires you showing up and being yourself. The lesson here is that you cannot progress in love and life if you're too busy hiding who you truly are. We also see this in the film where the relationship between the two characters does not deepen over the exciting trips or the grandiosity. It only deepens after both characters stop performing, drop the personas, and become comfortable with themselves and honest and truthful with themselves and each other. This perfectly aligns with Brené Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection, when she discusses that we do not progress until we let go of what other people think of us. And in Brené Brown's own words, true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And life hack number 1, drum roll please. Boom. Poppy discovers that home is not a place, but home is where you feel emotionally safe. Home is not a geographical place, but home is the place of emotional security. And Poppy finds this out at the very end of the film. She learns that true security comes through acceptance, and home begins with self-acceptance and emotional safety. As quoted by Brené Brown, "You are imperfect, you are wired for struggle, but you are worth love and belonging." The core takeaway from the book and the film is that you are worthy of love and belonging now. Not when you become thinner, not when you become more successful, not when you become smarter, but loving and belonging belongs to you now. So take that and own that. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. I want to thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gained something out from it. Please click like and subscribe. Please comment below. Is there something that you want me to review? Is there some life hack that you saw in the film that I missed? I want to know about it. And as always, my prescription is try 2 of these life hacks and call me in the morning. Good night.